Bafo Akoto. And then 2, about the NPP that calls itself a Dankwabuzia tradition and also calling itself UP, an offshoot of the UP. In fact, when you go to Ashanti and then Bono and Ahafo, all they know about NPP is a UP, and UP is a united party. Now, the Asantehene actually founded the National Liberation Movement in 1954 through Bafo Akoto, because among the accounts, whatever a linguist does directly binds the chief. And so for the linguists of the Ashanti nation to rise up one day on the premises of Menchia Palace with all Ashanti chiefs behind him, a sheep slaughtered, and this man proclaiming the formation of a new party, National Liberation Movement, was Asantehene's party, Oseyajiman Prempeh II, and the party of the Ashanti nation. No wonder at that time Ashanti was the leading producer region of cocoa. And they saw Nkrumah, who had become prime minister in 1954. His whole idea was centralism, unitary form of government, and will use Ashanti's cocoa money to develop the rest of Ghana. Ashanti would not accept that. Ashanti would not accept that. So the main reason for the formation of NLM was to fight for a federal system of government to ensure that whatever money generated on Ashanti land will remain there. To hell with other regions. Now today, as we sit here, Ashanti is not the leading cocoa producer region. So what are we telling regions like Western North region and others? And then Western region, which is contributing over 80% to the GDP. If everybody is to behave the way my grandfathers did in 1954. Now come 1957, Nkrumah moved the whole nation to support the idea that no party will be allowed to operate on tribal grounds. And so the Northern People's Party, which was agitating to move away from the Gold Coast because they had received very little development and education and would not want to join us in independence. And then our youth organization, led by SG Anto, that they would want to go and join Togo, aligned, in fact, merged with the National Liberation Movement, Bafo Akoto. So you see that 3 tribalistic parties coming together to form the United Party to contest the Convention People's Party. From that moment, we began to have the United Party tradition. And Professor Buzia, because of his high education, was made the leader. So today, when we are talking about Dankwabuzia tradition, please, it is a very big error in the history of this country. It should rather be Akoto, SB Dombo. Dombo was the leader of the Northern People's Party. And then Anto, SG Anto. That should be the name of the tradition. Number 2, if you are celebrating Bafo Akoto, you should also celebrate the other 2, because we all know that Aggrey, Fraser, and Guggisberg were the 3 men that promoted girl child education in Ghana through the establishment of Achimota School. And we have Aggrey, Fraser, Guggisberg memorial lectures. There's no way you can leave out 1 or 2 of this and you can build a complete story. We have to deify the 3 of them. So if you are talking about Bafo Akoto, whether it is the nation celebrating it or Ashanti celebrating it, please, history must not be obliterated. We must do it the right way. And also, NPP members should know that we don't have anything called Dankwabuzia tradition, because NPP is not the offshoot of the UGCC. The UGCC by 1950, after 1951, had collapsed, and even its vice president, J.B. Dankwa, lost in an election at his own Buakwa constituency to Alhaji Bashiru Kwauswanze. After that, everybody discarded him. And then Ashantis founded the National Liberation Movement. Then lastly, I would say that if we are going back to people like Bafo Akoto, Anto, SB Dombo, who are sectional in their approach, then at least we must get something good there. That if they fought for the interests of their people, what we are telling government today is that whatever funds, whatever money, whatever income or resources the nation is generating today from the various regions, efforts must be made to retain a percentage over there. Because the Ashanti fight for federation at that time was to some extent genuine, because Nkrumah said that he was using the cocoa money to fund free education for the Northerners, to put up more secondary schools in Ghana, that's the GET schools. It was a good idea on the part of Nkrumah. It was also a good idea on the part of Ashanti that whatever is coming from our land, we must also get a percentage. In much the same way, the Ghana people have dedicated their whole land to the making of a national capital. Look at the roads in Accra, and then go to Osu and Nima and certain parts of Accra. I mean, can't government just sit up one day and decide to do something for people whose land has become the national capital and they have nowhere to stay? Always we are pushing them away. Talk about Western region, that is contributing nearly 90% to the GDP. Talk about Central region. The whole Gold Coast started from Central region. Then the North. The cocoa industry we are talking about was able to thrive because of the labor of the Northerners. We should not forget this. Every region, whatever you produce, a little portion of it should be retained there for your own development. You don't bring it here, and at the end of the day, as my colleague was saying, and we are all lamenting, you know, some people dissipated somewhere. And the whole nation is also aware that when you go to Achimegwakwa, all their roads have been asphalted. And then you ask yourself, what is Achimegwakwa producing as opposed to Nzimaland that is producing oil for Ghana? Thank you.